Marginlands, an exploration of Indian landscapes. Let me take the privilege of inviting and introducing the moderator for this very session, none other than Ms. Aparna Karthikeyan. Aparna Karthikeyan is an author, independent journalist, and senior fellow at People's Archive of Rural India. Her non-fiction book, 9 rupees an hour, documents 10 disappearing livelihoods of Tamil Nadu. It won the Green Literature Fest Business Honours Award in 2021. She has written 5 books for children and has produced text articles, photo essays, and video documentaries for various platforms, including The Hindu, PARI, The Caravan, The Wire, and Scroll. Aparna's new series, Let Them Eat Rice, on 7 crops in Tamil Nadu, was made possible by a research grant from Azim Premji University. The first story, The Rani of Thoothukkudi's Salt Pans, was shortlisted for the Red Link Awards in the Women Empowerment and Gender Equality category and also nominated for the True Story Awards. Aparna won the Yushawa Award Best Agricultural Journalist for her consistent coverage of farmers, particularly women farmers, and the first prize in the Statesman Awards for Rural Reporting 2023 for her series. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause for Ms. Aparna Karthikeyan? Please to join us right here on the dais.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be here with all of you, and such a privilege to be introducing Arati Kumar-Rao. I'm a big fan of her work. Back in 2016, I remember sending her a fan mail after reading her article about missing dolphins. So that's something that always stays with me. And her book, Marginlands, Indian Landscapes on the Brink, is shortlisted for this year's GLF Awards. Arati, working across South Asia, she's an independent photographer, writer, and National Geographic explorer. Arati documents environmental degradation that has reached cataclysmic levels. She chronicles how drastically depleting groundwater, habitat destruction, and land acquisition for industry devastates biodiversity and shrinks common lands, displacing millions and pushing species towards extinction. Arati was named in BBC's list of 100 influential and inspiring women of 2023, and her first book, Marginlands, India's Landscape on the Brink, published by Pan Macmillan Picador in 2023, will also be published in North America by Milkweed Editions next year. Congratulations, Arati. Arati's work has also appeared in National Geographic magazine, Emergence magazine, BBC World Service, and in leading Indian newspapers, and among other outlets. When not on assignment, she splits her time between a biodiversity hotspot, the Western Ghats, and Bangalore in India, where she plays a happy mother to 3 rescued cats. She can be found on Instagram. Please don't miss her handle, at Arati Kumar-Rao. Welcome, Arati. We really look forward to listening and learning from you.
Thank you, Aparna. Thank you so much for that very generous introduction. Can we have the presentation, please? Thank you. And thank you all for being here on this Saturday afternoon. I'm going to whisk you from the cool climes of Bangalore to the hot, hot Thar Desert. Imagine it is June in the desert, 42 degrees centigrade. It's been 2 years, almost 2 years, 22 months since there has been any rain in this deep Thar. We are in the Jaisalmer district, so almost on Pakistan's border. This is what it looks like. These are the dunes that we're on. And I am sitting with my shepherd farmer friend Chatar Singh on top of a dune, and he's quietly, wordlessly digging into the dune, and not 6 inches in, he comes up with a handful of wet sand. It hasn't rained here for 22 months. How is this dune wet? He tells me that the dunes in the Thar Desert hold water in their bellies. And true to it, as we climb down, As we climb down, there is a hand-dug well at the bottom of the desert every few yards. Some of them are shut, some of them are giving wells. And this is what the shepherds use as they walk along the desert with their goat and sheep. And so the desert actually, like this. So this is the giving well. The more they pull up, the more the well pulls from the side. So it keeps replenishing. When I came down, somebody had just pulled up a bucket full of water, and I just knelt down, and you could hear the water replenishing. Tinkle, 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 tinkle. It's just so beautiful. And within a few hours, the well is full again. Not 3 feet deep. You don't have to put the bucket in too deep either. It's an amazing system. This is the system in this, the youngest and the most populated desert in the world. And the people that live here are pastoralists mainly. And this is a goal that they live in. And this is what they walk with. They're chalta hua sona, walking gold. They're sheep and goats. So if you go have Rogan Josh in Kashmir or Amritsar, essentially it comes from here. And it's crazy hot in summer, and this was June, so it was really madness. But guess what? These are not only dunes. Only 5% of this desert is dunes. The rest are grasslands, rocky outcrops. And these grasslands have an enormous amount of biodiversity, including the winter visitors, which you will see right now if you were to go to the desert, the demoiselle cranes, which have come down from Siberia. And these grasses sustain both the sheep and goat and wildlife so you have chinkaras and so on. This is what a desert looks like, a healthy desert with different kinds of bushes and plants. And then you also have the saw-scaled viper, that today seems to be the day of the saw-scaled viper. This is the second time it's coming up. And then the desert cotton. And you also have these amazing scarab beetles. So if you look around in the desert, it's hardly deserted. You know, our metaphors are so wrong. There's signs of life everywhere. This is a living desert, and there are people who know how to find water. There is enough and more water that they never thirst for water, even though this desert gets only 4 inches of rain in a year. Imagine, only 4 inches, 10 centimeters of rain. This is what the desert looks like in summer. This is actually a farm, a desert farm, a traditional desert farm with the khejuri trees that are dotting it. It lies fallow in summer, and this is what a desert catchment looks like. So for catchment, we think forests and we think grasslands. But a desert catchment is hard ground. The rain falls on this ground and it rolls down a gentle slope of about 1 foot over a kilometer. So really gentle slope. And it comes to rest in C-shaped depressions, like this that you see, these C-shaped depressions. And what are those depressions? They are they're man-made depressions, but at the edge, the C shape is thorny acacia. So these people in the desert, the pastoralists, have just thrown acacia over there and waited. They do this sometime in June, and they wait for what in July? Sandstorms. And so when the sand blows, it stings your skin. It's crazy to be out. Filming this was ridiculous. But this is the sand that then goes and gets stuck in the acacia and forms a bund of sand. And then when it rains, they wait again for the rains to come. Maybe 1 day of rain in the year. And it comes rolling through, and when the water falls, it comes to the, where am I supposed to point this? Okay, so it comes rolling down the slope, and it comes to rest like this, and it forms a kind of man-made lake. This lake then supports the people for almost several months, after which, inside the lake bed, they have built these same percolation wells called berries. They take over. And for another 8 months, and actually several months after that, it's the berries that give water. So for many months after the last rains, there is no dearth of water. They do not thirst for water. When I was walking through the desert with Paul Salopek, who is a National Geographic explorer and a 2-time Pulitzer Prize winner, we walked in summer, and these wells were our mainstay. We were pulling up water, we were drinking this rainwater, it was something that kept us going as well. It's slightly salty because it's collected stuff and come. So we just strained it and drank, but yeah. The other thing is, when it comes down, it's not just a lake that is formed. I am standing on a 700-year-old bund called Adhora, and this bund was built by the Paliwal Brahmins because they knew how to farm in the desert. Now the water has rolled over from the top and come from there and come all the way down here to my feet, and it has stopped. And this is what you saw, which was fallow a few slides ago. Now this water, they will allow it to just seep. The earth will drink deeply and saturate itself. And then, when the water has disappeared, they will sow that land. And they'll sow it with wheat and guar bean and herbs and all of that. And then in a few months, when the things come up, when the crops come up, they harvest it. This has allowed these people like Gajiram, who used to be a criminal. He's a Bhil tribal, but he had fallen into bad times, and he was a beggar, and then he fell into further bad times, and he was put in jail. But now he's a rupee millionaire because he has discovered, and they have regenerated the ancient traditional method of desert farming. Right? And so they can grow wheat with just 1 day's worth of rain. Imagine that. No external irrigation whatsoever. Now that is the desert that has been over years, over centuries. But for the Indian government, the Thar is a wasteland. 68% of Jaisalmer district is a wasteland and something that has to be better utilized. And so what do? They pipe water from the Satluj all the way down to the Thar. By the time it reaches, there's hardly any water, and what is putrid, stinking, and full of debris and carcasses and a lot of mosquitoes. This district, which did not even know what a mosquito was, is now the district with the highest incidence of malaria in Rajasthan. The people who live there will not sip or touch one drop of the Naher Ka Pani, which was the Indira Gandhi Canal. That's what you saw. They just use it for livestock or for cleaning purposes. They prefer getting rainwater harvested water from their wells, and every day, twice a day, the women just walk a few meters down to their local berries, and that is the time of socializing for them, because that's the only time they get to go out of the house. So twice a day, they're singing and dancing as they go to the well, and they're chatting when they pull up water, and then they come back. This is what the desert, a healthy desert, looks like. And this is what a government desert looks like. I'm government agnostic. No government in our history has been good to the desert. So this is what it looks like. It's mined, and a real wasteland is created. Why? Because we are living in the age of a mass forgetting of local geographies. We do not know how to read the land anymore. And what ends up happening is all those people who live by the land cannot make a living anymore, and they're pushed into cities, and we all know how our cities are bursting at the seams, and they're not equipped to tackle them. Welcome to Bangalore. This is where I live. This is actually a drone right above my house. It's southern Bangalore. Bellandur, you might have heard of the lake that froths and foams and catches fire. This is that area. And Bangalore actually gets that much rain, 3 billion liters of rain, and we use 1.8 billion liters. So imagine we could be truly self-sufficient with water, along with grey water and so on. We get 60 inches, 78 inches, 41 inches. Remember, the Thar got 4 inches. It got 4 inches and it managed the water. Here, this is how much we get. But of course, we are flooded, and then we are dry. Everything goes dry. That's because of this. If you guys do not follow Raj Bhagat, please do. He's excellent. He came up with this topography of Bangalore, and again, forgetting of the topography. Bangalore is all those high areas, and the greens are the valleys. And we have 3 valleys. And this is what we are doing to it, where the natural flow of water is being built up over. And so look at all the black. What happens to the water? Where will it go? How will it flow? Right? This is what it looks like, Belandur Lake, connected to Vartur. This is 2002. A few years down, 2010, I think, and then 2015, you can just see, it's completely built up. There's no connection anymore, right? And of course, we all know this. If you're a Bangalorean, you know what has happened to our lakes, right? We've become all kinds of stages and layouts and stadiums and so on. And then, of course, the lakes overflow into places. We know this. Oh, I'm sorry. This is like it's been flipped over. Sorry about that. I think when I was changing from the Mac to the PC, this happened. But we all know what this is, right? We have all lived through this. Yes. So this, for those who don't know, $1 million homes swamped by water, Maybachs and Audis and Mercedeses were floating in the water, and then they had to be evacuated by jeeps and tractors and so on, right? But just a few months after that, this is what is there in the newspapers. Water shortage, Bangalore water crisis, blah, 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 blah. Again, this comes down to us forgetting our local geographies. We do not listen to the land anymore. And Chatar Singh, who has built those berries, rebuilt those berries and learned to live by the land and resurrected so many people from poverty, he says that before a drought caused by a shortage of rainfall comes the drought of ideas. And literally, that is what we are living through today. And not just Bangalore, not just the Thar. Marginlands has a few more stories, but there are tons of more stories of mismanagement of local geographies that is causing all kinds of crises today. It's very easy to blame it on climate change. Of course, climate change is coming and is here and is a part of it. But the proximal cause, look at our land, listen to our land. And this quote by Wendell Berry, I think, is something that's my lodestar. What I stand for is what I stand on. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Arati. Now we open this floor for questions. Yes, we do have a question there.
Hi.
Yes, sorry.
Hi. The interesting part that you showed about government doing a canal and people not using the water from the canal. Mm-hmm. So it's a very interesting segment to see of a savior mentality complex that the government has towards the entire environmental aspect. So because the last session we talked about journalism and all of that, is there a way that we're bridging the gap as to helping the government understand, because all of the stories already exist, you are documenting. So where is the gap and how is it being bridged? Because this is not just with this, there are many other stories I've also heard where government is doing something but people don't want it actually.
That's
so
right.
there's a huge
gap
in all areas as well.
All areas, indeed.
So, but with regards to this, are there any ways that the gap is being bridged?
Right. So the government's engineering solutions are always touted as the savior, right? That's going to save you. We're greening the desert and so on. Whereas the people of the desert know that beyond a certain point, they do not farm in the desert because the land is not rich, they know which parts are rich and poor. Many people from the government have visited, I'm just giving the example of the desert, but this happens everywhere. They have visited the desert, they have asked these questions, they've been told the local knowledge has been shared with the government, but none so blind as those who refuse to see. And that is exactly what is happening, not just here. It has happened in Farakka, where in 1957, this, the alarms were sounded that this is not a good idea. It still went on, and all kinds of issues today, the collapse of fisheries and whatnot. So again, it's not, I would not say that it is true ignorance, it's willful ignorance. It is, you do not want to see this, or you do not want that, because there is not enough money in these simple, natural, local solutions. When you can build a canal, lots of concrete, lots of, big things, dams, whatnot, right? So there is a nexus between, I don't need to say the rest, but that is where the money lies, and that is where then the willpower lies as well. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a question behind him.
Hi, sorry, I have a really quick question.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that they are able to grow a paddy variety with 1 day's worth of rainfall. I was just curious to know what variety of wheat that was.
I don't know what variety of wheat, but it's a local seed that has been passed down from generations, and they just have it. In fact, that is just one of 36 seeds that lies dormant in the sand, in the desert, which when the rain comes, it sprouts. So there's all kinds of little, there's tubers, there's moat, you know what moat is, all those kinds of things. There are many kinds of things that sprout. I just gave one example of the wheat. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have one question. Thank you for interesting presentation. We are running a creative agency. We do strategy work for climate actions in different parts of the world. Also in several African countries. And one thing what is super interesting is like how to bring together the public sector and NGOs and private. I think that's the key. Like there's like before discussions in the stage about tourism. The problem is like the corporates don't know what ecotourism means. So like people who are here should be educating them. So I think the partnership models are playing super important part of this. And what you said about like water shortages, we just ran one workshop in a month ago in Namibia for the city of Windhoek. So we brought together the city people, researchers, activists, creatives, and we kind of wanted to figure out like how we can really start to understand each other and the needs. Mm-hmm. And what the data and what the numbers are, and how we can build up the model in a way like we can actually use the same model for different other African megacities when they basically facing the same problem. So my question is like, is this something like this happening here? Like, did you have like any kind of social hackathons or any kind of operating models for city and scientists, also the corporates, to work together on related on the water shortage in Bangalore?
In Bangalore and in other cities, there's a lot of that going on. It is a double-edged sword, often, because, again, I don't want to sound so cynical, but people come into solving problems with a preconceived notion without necessarily actually looking at the land. And then the solutions that come out of that may work for a bit, but then eventually the lay of the land and what has been kind of takes over. So until that humility comes where you want to, all the players, all the actors, and there are such people, there are a lot of grassroots organizations in the desert, in cities in the desert, Delhi, I mean there are many that are doing this. But I think what some people, some parts of those efforts are striving for is that humility, where they're trying to say, let's listen to the land, let's listen to the people who live closest to the land, and let's see what the land needs, because we can't impose upon it our thoughts. And so there is that. So it's mixed results. The results are not uniform. And the other thing is some of these things are so local, in the sense that if you have a big body, what is right for Yelahanka or where we are right now, central Bangalore, is not what is right for Bellandur. Different places, different kinds of things. So again, that hyper-local view, gaze of the land and what is needed is again something that tends to get lost when you have all these different stakeholders. But it is a way forward, and there are so many people doing good work. especially in Bangalore. Like Harini Nagendra has written about it as well. There's hope, especially with the smaller cities, which still have a lot of their assemblages quite intact. They have a way forward which will actually preserve a lot of their native, could preserve a lot of their native land systems. So, yes. Yes.
Yep.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for that, Arati. I mean, read the book and then seeing the visuals was very nice. Just following up on her question, it's not in the past. Look at what's happening in Arunachal with big dams, what's happening in Great Nicobar, the Cheetah Project. I mean, look at any government-led initiative. It seems to be destruction rather than construction or protection. How do we retain optimism? How do we push back?
So I always feel like there are the pockets of people like Chatar Singh, like Divya and Sridhar, like people who are restoring landscapes and who have the knowledge or who are acquiring the knowledge, like Pradeep Krishan and so on. When you meet that there are pockets of these people now with ERA, there's like a huge network of people doing this. I feel that we are heading in the right direction. Now, with respect to what the government wants and the government does, how do we push back? I do not have an answer to that. But I still think that if you tell stories of the land and what works and what has worked with the land, I'm hoping that someone somewhere will take notice of it and understand the full purport of it. It's really necessary. And I think if you have one or two champions even who can get to the policy level and kind of change the thinking there, it'll help. But I still put stock in these local little efforts going on all around India. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. It's very important. And in fact, one question I commonly get asked is, how can we help? I would say just study your local geography, wherever you are, and take up arms right there. I mean, not literally, but just put on your shoes, put on your walking shoes, go out and just figure it out and actually join something that fights for the land locally, And you're absolutely right. It's that community participation, that local knowledge, if that is lost, and we are losing that local knowledge very, very fast with our education system, with everything, which does not connect at all down, to the land itself. So until we take back those reins and we educate ourselves about the places we live in, whether I'm living in Bellandur, whether I'm living on a higher part in Bellandur or the lower part in Bellandur. Inside Bellandur itself, there are so many different topographies. Until I figure that out, I will not know what to fight for. And then, when I do not know what to fight for, and I do not know my land, the interlopers, the people with big marketing budgets, the people with slogans on motorcycles, can easily usurp the narrative. And then you will be left with just bumper stickers. It's not going to help at all. So I would say all of us have to become knowledgeable in our local geography.
Thank you so much, Arati. Can we have a huge round of applause? I'm so sorry, sir, we are running out of time. I know it's such an interesting topic, and Arati will be here for the rest of the day, so you can definitely approach her for further discussions. Arati, as well as Aparna, can we please have you right here on the dais? We do have a token of appreciation on behalf of GLF, and to do the honors, May I please invite Dr. S. Natesh onto the dais. So please do join us. He is the author of The Iconic Trees of India, and previously he was the scientific advisor to the Government of India. Can we have a huge round of applause for this beautiful panel? Can we please have a group photograph?